So, my dear friends, I hope that it is time, with the fresh administration in Washington, with the new energy, with all what Europe stands for the European values, for democracy and respect of human rights. I hope that it is time that we hold Israel responsible for all what they do. From our side, I want to assure you that respect for human rights is there, and we try our best to be up to standard.
I give the floor to Charlie Weimers.
Thank you very much, Chair. Dear Prime Minister, your remarks focused almost entirely on Israel, which you even accused of criminal behavior. The Palestinian Authority is perfect and Israel screws everything up for you. Prime Minister, let me share some words of wisdom from Holy Scripture. Matthew 7:3. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? Prime Minister, let's get real. Palestinian opinion polls reveal several deeply troubling facts. First, only 42% of Palestinians expect the elections to be free and fair. A very large majority believe the PA and Hamas institutions are corrupt and that they cannot criticize them without fear. How will you tackle corruption rife in Palestinian institutions and defend freedom of speech? Second, depending on how divided Fatah will be, the EU-listed terror organization Hamas has a realistic possibility of winning the legislative elections in the West Bank and Gaza. The PFLP, another EU-listed terror organization, will likely succeed in passing the electoral threshold. If presidential elections were held today, Barghouti, a convicted terrorist serving 5 life sentences in Israel for masterminding terror attacks against Israelis, would likely win with a landslide, with Hamas candidate Haniyeh coming in second and President Abbas third. This means that the two front runners for the highest Palestinian office are convicted terrorists. This does not bode well for a peaceful solution of the Middle East peace process. Polls also indicate that a majority of Palestinians oppose a two-state solution. What is the point of international peace efforts if a majority of Palestinians prefer terror to peace? How will you seek to change a mindset and a culture that romanticizes terrorism to one that supports a lasting peace with Israel? Thank you.
Now, also, my dear friend, Mr. Charlie Weimers, look, by all means, we are not prophets. We are human beings. We do mistakes. I'm not here to talk about our mistakes, but we do. Who doesn't do mistakes? You think you are immune from doing mistakes? We all do. The question is whether this is a policy or exceptions. Just give me a number of how many Israelis have been killed by Palestinians over the last, say, 10 years. Accusing Palestinians of being terrorists, it doesn't take you anywhere. The official policy of the PLO and the Palestinian Authority and the president is that we are for peace. We are ready for it. We extend our hands for peace. And we are calling for a peaceful resistance. We are not calling for violence. And therefore, for you to claim that there is terrorism on peace, I think, Mr. Charlie Weimers, I think you are very unfair. And I think you are humiliating the Bible by quoting it in a wrong way to try to justify your wrong argument. And I think that, please, read all the Bible and apply justice and peace and love, and look at a situation in which you should be proud that you contribute to peace and justice, not making accusations against innocent people who are under occupation and who are harmless and who are equipped with nothing except their courage and dignity and their well-being and their resisting occupation and fight for freedom. Look at the Bible. I can bring thousands of verses that does support this argument. So please don't be selective in any way to support your unfair argument accusing Palestinians of being terrorists. Palestinians are under occupation. My dear friend, tell your Israeli friends to end their occupation. That is what you can do. Advise your Israeli friends to release the kids from jails. Advise your Israeli friends to release women from jails. Advise your Israeli friends to stop confiscating our private land. Advise your Israeli friends to give us our share of water. Israeli settlers, they consume 450 liters a day. Palestinians, they consume 73 liters of water a day, by 30 liters less than what WHO is saying that this is the international standard, and so on and so forth. So now, on the issue of elections and Jerusalem again.